something that's third party owned, which means that it'll always have restrictions. A person will not be able to, in terms of your visual appeal, your visual feel, your visual communication, over a period of time, it'll have to be hammered into the person. But your website is a space where that person can actually come in, get a feel, look, and actually that's the best place to generate leads, which is SEO and SEM, along with the website. I'm going to move towards the social space. The social space is obviously Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. What is this doing? Each one of us who get up in the morning, we go log on to our laptops or our PCs, go on to our email, go on to our Facebook, go on to our Twitter. Why is social this important? Social media is this important because each one of us is logging into a social networking website. It's a point of contact for a business that they can market themselves to, as compared to the other side, which is a website SEO, SEM piece. What happens is that if you as a business are spending money to talk to me, and if you're spending X rupees for me to come onto your website, the next time you want to talk to me, you have to spend the X or X plus again. What social media is allowing you to do is for you to create a community, for you to actually be able to create a fan base or a Twitter following or YouTube subscribers or LinkedIn group members who then become a part of your day-on-day conversation. For me, an acquisition cost over here is actually going to get divided over a longer period of time as compared to here, which is going to get multiplied over a longer period of time. So for you to talk to me 5 times here would be 5x. For you to talk to me 5 times over here would be x over 5. So I would, over a longer period of time, be able to talk to me, or you would be able to talk to me, hammer your message, make me understand what your business is about, try and convert me into a customer. But all of this will be relevant only once we understand that what our objective on digital is, whether I want to be playing this game, whether the kind of brands or the kind of businesses that I run are relevant on social. Because each one of us log into social networking websites to be able to interact with our peers, to be able to interact with our friends, to be able to interact with family, and to try and understand what's happening in their lives. While we're at this, we also create a brand personality for ourselves. We also are trying to, we are also communicating to everybody around us who we are. If I went to the gym for the last 5 days, I would want 200 of my friends on Facebook to know that, hey, I've started gymming again. The objective of that is telling me that I'm interested in fitness, I'm interested in health, I'm interested in other people knowing what I'm doing on a day-on-day basis. Me liking a page on BlackBerry or me liking a page for Apple products means that I'm interested in technology. I'm interested. What these social networks are actually trying to do is classify and pocket you into these group cycles. So when you go back after creating a Facebook page, go into the ad managers, go into, when you have to actually specifically target people on Facebook, what you're able to do is actually map them. So as compared to advertising on TV, print, radio, where while we have rating systems, what the medium is not in a position to tell you is how much of that media money that you have spent has got wasted. So if I'm a personal hygiene brand like he is, and I want to market specifically to women, and I put up an ad while the IPL is on, how do I know how many women are actually seeing it? What social media allows you to do is specifically target those people. So if I'm a company which is hypothetically, say Axe, right? I know I'm targeting males between the age group of about 16 to 25, 28. What I'm able to also go ahead and do is that I'm going to be able to say that the male who likes an Apple product, a male who likes technology, a male who likes sports, a male who likes Manchester United, a male who likes tennis, a male who likes Roger Federer, a male who likes watches, a male who likes XYZ shows is the actual person I want to target. And how is a Facebook generating this kind of data? Is generating this kind of data by your social activity. So if you are communicating about these things, if you're actually liking these things, if you remember the switch between a Facebook page to the new timeline format, it specifically asked you what your interests were. It specifically asked you whether you were interested in sports. If you were interested in sports, which kind of sports people you were interested in. If you were interested in technology, what part of technology were you interested in? Why it's asking you these questions is because this data is then forwarded to us marketeers who are able to like slice, dice, and actually be able to target the exact audience. Plus the kind of data that Facebook throws back at you in terms of interaction, in terms of the amount of money you spend, what was the ROI against the money you spend. For a budget conscious, a money conscious company, it provides a more suitable monetary, like advertising budget policy as compared to just being able to throw money out there and then figuring out what to do. But one thing that we need to understand is that social media requires time. It requires everything. I mean, everything that we expect in this internet space is instant. It's, we think that making brands is instant. We think that connecting with people is instant, and therefore business is instant. But we have to understand that if you are trying to target these people, so 100 of other people trying to target these people. Over a period of time, we need to be able to establish a certain bond with them. We need to be able to communicate with them. We need to try and understand what their needs are. And therefore, this social media medium acts as a manifold. It acts like a research device for brands. They're doing it. It acts like a marketing tool for brands. They're doing it. It acts as a message driver to brands. They're doing it. So each one of these brands has a very, very different objective as to why they're in the digital space, therefore why they are in the social media space, and therefore if they need to be in the social media space at all. So we're gonna run those questions through. Is there anybody who has anything to ask me before that, and I'll be more than happy to answer. Yeah.
Check with you when you speak about this SEO.
Right.
In that sense, whatever you do on social media, the more you do it, it automatically informs. I mean, the more you are there, in the traditional sense, you used to actually have those listings, you used to have
in the traditional sense, when we just started the internet economy, we had a special search engine listings and stuff which actually, worked by. But today with the social media, do you really need to? It really happens by automatically, right? In that sense.
It's a yes and a no answer. The idea is that basically all of these social media websites are third-party websites,
Okay.
which means that whether they agree to divulge this information and be allowed to index all the amount of context or content that you are actually like creating on these social networks is possible to come on Google. Yes, if you search for a specific company and if you have a Facebook page with that company's name, that's likely to pop up saying that, hey, this is the Facebook page, right? Or this is the company's name. But again, if I'm searching for a specific company on Google, I don't want to go to their Facebook page, I want to go to their website.
Okay.
Right? So, and now Facebook has come up with more SEO friendly options. It's saying that it's going to get into search, but it's a stage 2. It's not something that's already inbuilt into the social media platforms.
Okay.
So while, like I said, your company name along with the facebook.com/say Axe Angels Club
Right.
will come up in the front, but when I'm actually searching for Axe as a brand, I'm usually looking to go towards their website. So is your website ranking? Is what this piece is. Once Facebook and Twitter open up their comments and open up, what all people are talking about within those pages, then the search piece along with social media becomes relevant.
Okay.
They're doing it, but it's still not there. So it's a while away.
So can we say that the ultimate aim of generating sales is through the website, and social, the objective is to create a certain brand image which leads to the sales?
It's true and it's not true again. Sorry for being so ambiguous. It actually depends from objective to objective and from brand to brand. Like I said, your website is your traditional medium. A person coming onto your website comes specifically for your service. A person coming onto your Facebook page could come because you've done a viral campaign that really makes sense to him. So, and then later by engaging him or her for over a period of time, you're able to convert him as a customer. But the objective of social media from day one needs to be engagement, and you have to believe that engagement will lead to sales. If that belief doesn't rest within, then this piece becomes a little futile, because like I said, you're expecting immediate results.
Like for example, I get a lot of requests for likes of certain pages, and I just press the like my friend has added me, so just press OK. After that, I may not even look at that page.
Yes, but so it's the responsibility of the page to be able to create content which then becomes relevant to you and it features back in your newsfeed.
So that engagement should be there. That's
the
what
content is king.
Content is king.
It's absolutely king. And I'll run you through some case studies where your contextual, the way you actually try to put in a message has been able to drive everything from sales to brand recognition to actually being able to communicate the entire piece right. So the idea is that as long as your content is relevant, you like that page because your friend liked it, right? And it made sense to you that, okay, the content that this page might generate is something that I want to read, right? So it's the duty of that page, or it's the responsibility of that page to be able to generate that kind of content. And there's obviously an algorithm as to what is going to feature on your news feed. We have to understand today that a medium like Facebook has now figured a way to make money, right? There was a time about 2 years ago where Facebook was, a medium where that if I could put a virality factor or a factor where, things actually move from one social media feed of mine to you to everybody else, that number was about 7 or 8 or 9. This was before Facebook actually figured that, hey, okay, now I have 500, 600, 800 million people on my website. What do I do with it and how do I start making money? Today, Facebook has figured a way to make money. What happens is that everything that Facebook is doing is trying to, push interactions, it's trying to push content, it's trying to push likes. Everything has that factor of money, and obviously they're investing billions and billions of dollars in allowing us to communicate with our friends. So that virality factor has now dropped from about 7 to about 2 or 3, where only real good content, and also as compared to earlier 2 or 3 years ago where only a handful of brands or only a handful of consumers were actually on the social media network. Today, everybody wants to be on the social media network. So what happens is that automatically, if you are a fan of about 50 fan pages, plus you have about 200 friends, they can't show everything on their newsfeed. You can't. Everybody will keep updating something or the other. Out of your 200 friends, there might be about 50 new things that each one of them has done. There might be a brand which talks about 3 times a day, that's about 100. So they cannot show you about 350 things every couple of hours. So they have an algorithm at the back end which works as to what kind of content is doing well, how often do you visit the page, what are the people talking about, numbers, and we will run you through all of these things. But basically, as long as your content is good, as long as people are engaging with your brand in the right manner, and as long as people are talking about you, in a broader sense of things, your marketing objective is anyways achieved, and therefore you should be in a position to leverage sales, brand equity, and everything that comes with it. So that's the kind of scenario that the social media marketers or the social media players are trying to force into the space. So yeah, content is absolute king. If you can't generate good content over a period of time, you will lose the people who are on your social media space.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that I need to address? Yeah.
Which is used mainly by businesses? Is it LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter?
Again, it depends from business to business. There's a certain kind of business that does not permit you to actually, not permit, but it does not lend itself very well to you being on Facebook. There's a certain business that doesn't require a Twitter. There's a certain business that needs to reside only on LinkedIn. There's a certain business that doesn't require LinkedIn. And that's actually the objective of this session. The objective of this session is to A, introduce you to each one of these mediums, B, try and in our own way try to figure out what medium is important for you, why it is important for you in terms of the objective that your business has, both short term and long term, and therefore once we're on each one of the mediums that makes sense to our businesses, how do we leverage this further? So there's no real right or wrong answer to it. Some things work, some things don't work. In terms of communication, in terms of your brand messaging. So honestly speaking, I'm on Facebook, I want to listen to what Nike is saying. I'm on Facebook, I want to listen to what Axe is saying. I'm on Facebook, I want to know if there are any social media recruiters out there. If I'm on Facebook, I want to do that. If I'm on Twitter, I'm a slightly evolved user in terms of how I communicate, what I communicate. I'm a lot more I'm usually a professional, so Facebook is a lot more mass. It has about 55 million odd people. Twitter is a more professional kind of a setup in terms of people have certain pockets of topics that they're talking about. There are brands who are talking specifically to these people. It's a more one-to-one medium as compared to Facebook, which is a more one-to-many kind of a medium. So do I want to be like filtering those people? Do I need to be searching those people? Do I have some keywords on Twitter that I actually need to follow? On LinkedIn, it's about how good your company profile is or how good your own personal profile is. Am I going into groups? Social media seems like, let's open the computer, let's log on to the social networks and let's actually go ahead and do things, which it actually is as well. But it requires a long thought that needs to go into why, what, how, and when do I need to do the things that I need to do on the social networks. So that's the ultimate aim of this workshop, and that's what we hope to achieve by the end of it.
I agree to your point that you need to write a good content. I agree to your point that the content should be something that interests people. But then, I do all these things. But then they are the brands like Nike, Fast Track. I mean, you go to their Facebook page, you go to their Twitter profile. They are like 20,000 likes, 20,000 people following them. I do all the things. I do write stuff which interests people. But then I don't get that amount of response for a small startup company. So how do I make sure that the virality I'm creating through the social media increases to the masses, it reaches to the masses?
Okay,
how do I ensure this?
The question is, what do you share? If you are your target consumer, if you were not running the company that you're currently running or you are going to run, then if you go onto the social network, what is the kind of content that you will share? What is the kind of content that your target audience will share? And what is the kind of content the target audience will actually relate to? You don't have to write content that suits you. You have to write content that interests your target audience. So if I am writing content for a financial startup, maybe I want to write a white paper on something that actually hundreds of thousands of people want to know, and that would help their investments. If I'm a HR company and I write a content piece which talks about the top 10 ways to succeed in an interview, I don't know, I'm just making these things up, but things that are relevant to your target audience, right? So if I'm an HR recruitment company which is only recruiting high level employees, then I don't need to write what are the 10 things that you need to do in an interview, though that might be relevant, that might not be relevant to your target audience. So your content needs to be made tailored for them. It still needs to have a viral factor. And the first base question before these two questions is that, is the medium right for you then? So if you're able to answer all these three objectives, and like I said about 5 minutes ago, if you think that you're going to come onto this medium today and going to not spend money, even if the monies are small, that money needs to be spent over a period of time. So
my point is, from where do I find these sources? I mean, my target audience might be the people who are like all of us. I mean, the people who normally go to colleges, who normally go to offices. My target audience is that, and like middle level income group. That is my target audience. But how do I make sure that people reach to my page? How do I increase the virality of my page?
So that's something that I think Suvir is going to cover in terms of how those things are managed in ads and people talking about us and the virality factors and stuff like that. So that's something that will get run once that happens. Yes. I'll take one last question before I run into my presentation. 1 second.
Thanks. What I gather from the discussion that's been happening is that yes, content has to be good. We need to capture our target audience. But what I want to understand also is, as an individual, I may be a person X, but when I get onto social media, does my personality change? Do I become another person? Do my preferences change? Am I, in terms of consumer behavior, what I want to understand is in terms of consumer behavior, if I'm talking to my target audience, how do I modify the content or make it more appropriate to get them hooked? At the end of the day, I not only want visibility, I not only want to get noticed, I want to be remembered. If I don't put up posts, I want them to miss me, and I want to create enough awareness for them to be able to come to my site and generate clicks for me. I only don't want footfalls, I want people to get hooked onto it. So how do I understand this consumer behavior which happens on the social networking sites?
Okay, so I'll answer your question in about, I'll cut it into two. One is that you're on social network because your social circle is there, right? So 8 out of 10 times the way you behave in an offline space, I would presume that you would behave in the same way in the online space, because you have your friends, you have your family who's actually present on these social networking websites, who are in a way not monitoring, but who are aware of what your behavior online as well as offline is. So I don't think people will have very differentiated behaviors, and usually the consumers that work offline, the demographics are almost the same, and their even psychographic behavior is almost the same when it comes to online. The second part of your question is that as compared to a TV ad or a print ad, where there is one message which I can interpret as a consumer in any way that I want, social media gives you an opportunity to put hundreds of messages through. So if my message at one given point in time is X, and by the interactivity on the page or by what people are saying, I realize that I need to change it to Y, social media gives me an opportunity to do it. Because, like I said, I have instant feedback from my consumers. My consumers are telling me whether this is right or whether this is wrong. And I can go back to the drawing board that same evening and realize that, oh, this is exactly what my consumer requires. Is my business in a position to talk about it, provide it? Does it make sense for my business? If all these three things are yes, then I modify my content to be able to talk to them in that manner. So it's like a real time, it's not something that you decide like for the next 2 months this is what I'm going to say. It's not relevant. You have to get up each morning or once in 3 days and figure that this is what I'm thinking that my consumers want. This is what my consumers are saying. Therefore, this is what I want to do. It's a very hands-on medium as compared to that I make one print ad, I make one TVC, and I use it now for 3 months, then later 2 months gap, and then again use that for 3 months. Because the communication here, there is one to many. Here it is a both-way kind of a communication. So I'm getting feedback, I'm trying to modify what I do and why I do it, and therefore I'm able to leverage the virality or people coming there. And also again, like I said, in terms of your thing, people are actually taking Facebook ads to click from within Facebook to their website because the ROIs are better, and we can discuss that a little further. But I just so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through the numbers that the social media space has seen in the last couple of years, and therefore put perspective in terms of how these mediums have grown, why they've grown, why they're relevant, and what kind of a target audience is actually present for you to tap into. Okay, so I'm just going to just run you through these numbers. These numbers we've gotten from this this presentation done called We Are Social. You'll have to run by these and just stop me whenever you think something is relevant to you. It's insane, these numbers. Basically, we have a total population of about 1.2 billion. We have about 100 billion internet users today, out of which about 80% of these people use it primarily for email. 55% are actually on social networks, with Facebook being at about 55 million people today. 50% of the Indian population is below the age group of 25. 72% of India's population still live in rural areas, and we'll get to why this is very relevant. Yes. So in the past 12 months, the growth of internet users in India has been about 25%. So it's a massive number. So in terms of our actual population, the kind of people who are using it, the number might be small in terms of percentage, but in terms of like putting this number, benchmarking 100 million users across countries is immense. So there are about 20 million people who use the internet each day, whether it's for emails or whether it's for social media. Again, I'm going to come back to why this 2% of rural population using the internet on a day-on-day basis this is the reason actually. Like this number, out of the 55 million people in India who actually use Facebook today, about 60% of the people are actually using Facebook via mobile devices. So your internet is now becoming a pocket-sized game where your fight for space is even bigger than what it is on the desktop. Your content therefore becomes even more relevant in terms of what you're doing on your mobile device. The average internet user in India spends about 26 minutes online each day, which is a massive chunk of their daily time spent. Therefore, the online space or the digital space is a good place to actually be able to target them. 70% of India's internet users are males. The split in terms of Facebook is about 68 to 32, and this is a massive number. So if you are a women-centric product, you need to be able to understand where to market, how to market, where to advertise, where not to advertise, because it is a skewed medium in that sense. There are about 8,000 internet cafes around India. 60% of internet users still use web cafes. So basically what this is trying to say is that the penetration, while it is that high in India, still on the rural side it's not that big. We still have to educate a lot of people about the internet. Just tell me if I'm going too fast. This is massive. 70% of Indian internet users watch videos online. Matrimonial sites are massive. Again, this is where they're actually categorizing matrimonial sites today as social networking sites, and they're actually trying to sell them as that, so that you're able to meet new people. A lot of the matrimonial sites today are integrating social media into them, so as to, while like human resource experts are trying to profile people at their social level in terms of who they are and what they actually do before they actually recruit them into companies, so are people in terms of marriage. So they're actually trying to go into their Facebook profiles, try and realize what they really are, and not over a cup of tea. So they spend about 3 hours each month on social media. Again, this comes from a fact that some of them are high users of social media, and some of them are the lower spectrum. So there are some people who spend about 30 to 45 minutes per day on social networking websites, and there are some people who access social networking websites about 4 to 5 times a month, from what Facebook told us. These are a little old numbers, but the current numbers are, Orkut is irrelevant at this particular point in time. So is Google Plus in some way or the other. While it has a decent base, nobody is really going there. Facebook currently is at about 55 million people. Twitter is at about 16 to 17 million people at this particular point in time. Facebook is growing at about 6 to 7% in about every 3 months. So India is one of the biggest gainers in terms of Facebook users per month. So here's a number. It's grown by about 27% in the past 6 months. More and more people find out about it, more and more people hook themselves up. Again, 18 to 24 is your biggest target size in terms of Facebook. 25 to 34 is also a decent size. What we're seeing a difference in terms of interactivity today is that the interactivity is now moving from the 18 to 24 space to a more 25 to 34 space. So most, like about 30% of these people are creating the maximum amount of noise on Facebook. These are some of the biggest Facebook pages in India. Again, these numbers have changed. Docomo is at about 6.5 million today. Kingfisher yesterday was at about 4 million people. So, I mean, you obviously realize that each one of these brands are heavily investing in social media, and we'll come to why. Another very important part that the internet users are actually using are games, and Facebook is now becoming an integrated part of how these games are done. So most of you guys might know about Zynga, Farmville, and all of these. What is happening is that the social networks that are already existing are becoming bigger by the day, and the smaller social networks are actually becoming smaller. So anything that you're doing has to have a social layer on top. So even if I'm making a game today, I need to make sure that the game is compatible with Facebook. Because like I said, each one of us on a day-on-day basis will go onto a Twitter or Facebook or your email or to any other website that's relevant to you. But for you to presume that somebody is going to come onto your website or to your gaming site on a day-on-day basis, you'll have to go back and spend that money again to get me back there. So because our mind is cluttered with so many things that you're not able to always be top of mind. Number of LinkedIn users in India, this is again gone up by about 1.5 million, so it's about 14.5 million people. LinkedIn is the second biggest, India is the second biggest LinkedIn base after the US. A lot of entry level people are actually coming into LinkedIn, and I'll run you through those stats. There we go. This is massive. This is in terms of your online reputation that exists on the web. Each one of us, before we book hotels, before we buy mobiles, before we buy refrigerators, or before we buy even clothes, today are going online, checking out, going to restaurants, figuring out whether it's what's good to eat, what's not good to eat, what people are saying, what people are not saying. And what the internet has done is that it's allowed that voice to reach out to a lot more people, which is what in a way we all did a couple of years ago, where you would come and say, hey, this place to eat is really, really good. That would get 5 more people there. But today, instead of somebody actually having gone in your social circle, you can go onto the internet and figure it out. So this piece is massive, and this piece also relates back to social networks. It's about how you're managing your reputation, how you're managing the conversations that people have had. If you're in the service industry, but 1 in 10 people will be disgruntled by what happened with them or how the service was, and they use social networks, they use the internet to actually throw whatever they can at you. It's about how maturely you can manage those conversations and how maturely you can actually salvage your reputation in front of thousands of other consumers. So while social networks make a great place for you to actually go out to like a lakh of people and say that, hey, this is what I do, if 100 of them are actually creating bad mouthing you, those 1 lakh people over a period of time, if not managed properly, can just be a liability, because then they will go out there and spread those 10 messages to hundreds of other people. So that's something that we need to manage. You have a question? Somebody?
Yeah, I was just asking on that. Do you have a list of which are those websites where Indian people actually go and
It's industry specific. So in terms of restaurants, there's a list of websites that your social media agency will have. In terms of consumer products, there's a different list.
anybody can find it?
We have to compile it. It's a manual process. It's not something that you get, at least not yet. So there might be companies who might be working towards it, but at this point in time, it's a manual process. E-commerce has become massive. Now, if you look at the right-hand side of your Facebook pages today, you realize the fact that almost 3 out of 5 advertisements are e-commerce websites. So if you are on your Facebook timeline at this particular point in time, just look at your right-hand side and you'll be able to see that a lot of the ads that come to you are from e-commerce websites. The valuation numbers, whoever's in finance right now might be knowing that Flipkart gets some massive valuations, some crazy X's, and so there's a massive amount of money being pumped into the e-commerce segment. There's a lot of money that they're hoping they're going to generate, and the number of people who actually are buying online as compared to about 6, 8, 10, 12 months ago is also moved significantly. So from India being a very scared population in terms of removing their credit cards and putting it over there, thinking that their information will always get stolen, which is also relevant. But the websites today are becoming a lot more secure. A lot of more people are, and also goes back to the fact that about 50% of almost all our users are below the age group of 25. They all have access to credit cards, and they're spending a lot more money online because it's a lot cheaper for them as well. Yeah, so again, 5,000 rupees or 5,500 rupees today per internet user per year is a massive number that any company which is in the e-commerce space can leverage today. Facebook has F-commerce where you can actually transact online. The nitty-gritties are still getting taken care of, but a lot of your business can happen on Facebook too. Again, a massive number. So from about 100 million, what is that number? From about $10 billion, about $6.7 billion comes from actual mobiles. So while we're looking at internet as a whole, or while we're looking at social networking as a whole, the one thing that you cannot ignore is what the social networking sites are doing on mobile. Because as long as we're understanding the fact that your mobile users are more, and for instance in Facebook advertising, you can actually target ads to people who are specifically iPhone owners or specifically BlackBerry owners or specifically Android owners. What that allows you to do is that while you're anyways targeting such a massive 55 million number, you're able to say that, okay, my product is only for the elite, my product is only for a certain class which is still a subset of a demographic setup, and I can actually go out there and target that as well. Same 40% of Google searches in India are conducted on mobile phones. The number of mobile subscribers in India is growing at an annual rate of 34%. There are roughly about 290 million mobile subscribers in rural areas of India. So while the internet penetration in rural areas is small, I see that number becoming larger and larger because of the fact that so many people are subscribing to their to mobile devices. Today, smartphones have become a lot cheaper, so people have access to a lot more of the social networking sites on their mobile devices. So mobile has a bigger penetration than TV does, and I will obviously run you through stats as to why, and in some cases YouTube is also better than TV. 200 million new mobile subscribers in India should come in this year. About 346 million people are mobile data subscribers in India in June 2011. So that number is massive. It's not out yet. I don't know, it's growing at about 20-30% per annum. And if I were to just extrapolate that would be that number. So, yes. Okay. People are just stretching. So, yeah, again, 13 billion ads are served each month to Indian mobile devices. That's about 5,000 ad impressions every second. So I hope that these numbers put into perspective what this industry is actually grown into. It's become a monster. It's something that you need to manage correctly. It's just not something that is one thing that you check off your marketing list. It actually requires a kind of strategy, and it actually kind of requires an integrated strategy towards everything. Let's see. Just give me a second. What do you want to go next? Do you want to go Facebook for business? Do you want to go into LinkedIn? Do you want to get into So this presentation over here should actually be able to answer a lot of the questions that are going to come in, and I'm going to actually open this up so that people are able to figure it out for themselves as well. Again, these numbers are, Facebook is almost at about 950 million people at this particular point in time. It's actually the third largest country in the world if it is actually to get mapped as on the population chart. And yeah, about worldwide average user spends about 7 hours per month on Facebook. So again, that's a massive number. It's the number 1 site for photo sharing, number 2 site for user generated videos. One in all of 4 pages viewed on the internet are a Facebook page. So, are people spending more and more time on social networks? Hell yeah. There's no other place that people are spending as much time as they are over here. Again, you have three kind of things. You have your personal profile, which has friends. You have Facebook groups, which is a more intimate way of communicating, which has members. And you have a business page, which has fans or likes, as we like to say. Simple stuff. Businesses should use pages instead of profiles and even groups if they want to get scale. Groups is a more closed kind of a circle where people have to manually add themselves or add other people. Pages allow multiple admins, so a lot more people can view it, a lot better insights. Everything on the pages is made for a Facebook business. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Also, on Facebook today, what you're able to do is that you're able to create your user experience as well suited as you want it to be. So you can create custom tabs on your Facebook page. You can actually, like I said, in about a couple of months, you should be able to properly transact on F-commerce, which is actually e-commerce built into Facebook. You're able to map, or you're able to allow people to play applications in terms of games, in terms of quizzes, in terms of better trying to understand what they are doing in terms of research. So the custom tabs, which now are in a lot more languages, but FBML, can actually be integrated into Facebook to provide a better user experience. We will run that to you in detail. So I'm just going to give you kind of an overview, and then I think Subir and Samit, who's going to come in here, they're going to like thrash you with only this stuff. So you'll be glad I didn't run you through it. I spoke about Facebook ads. Facebook ads are highly targeted. They can be created custom per ad. They work at about they work at cheap rates. It'd be difficult for me to comment on what a cost per click would be because of the varied but you should be looking at about the 5 or 6 to about a 10 to 12 rupee cost per click, and a good cost per click to a fan conversion should be at about 60-70%. So out of every 100 people that click onto your ad, about 60 to 70 should actually convert as fans to your page, considering the fact that you've targeted the ad well. The communication that you have on the ad is done effectively. So obviously there are some rules of things to do, things not to do, and that again these people will run you through. Now these are the important questions that should kind of differentiate Facebook as a medium. It should also help you answer a question in terms of, should my business be on Facebook? And that's a very relevant question that you need to answer to yourself. So whether you're giving this Facebook page management to somebody who's working internally in your team, or whether you're outsourcing this to an agency, up until these questions are not something that you have answered, it will be very difficult for anybody to pick up the vision that you have for your own business. So, let's try and understand this. Is my audience on Facebook? And I'm just going to pick up 2 random people so that they can answer these questions right here at this forum. So, is your audience on Facebook? One second. So, why do you think so?
Why? Because the age group that you said was the largest percentage of the age group that is on Facebook.
And that's what you're targeting.
Still discovering, because as you said, like 30% of the target group is like female, so I'm not very sure. But still, maybe they're moving. So I want to be present there before they come in.
Okay, fair. What incentive is there for people to become a fan of my page? How can I add value to them? So is anything that you are doing adding a humor element to them, adding a business benefit to them, adding a career benefit to them? What kind of value can you, after answering the first question, add to these people on this medium who have come there primarily to actually be able to engage with their social networks? So is there something that you are adding to them that should answer the question that came from the back? why is my content not viraling? You just hope that things viral. You can't create a viral ever. So you cannot, if a company came to us and said that, hey, I want to create a viral, I'd say let's hope, because some things just go viral. And if you are able to answer this question in terms of what incentive it is, if your audience is on Facebook and if they're targeted well and they rest on your Facebook page, that's 2 questions answered. What are my goals? So am I using Facebook as a lead generation tool? If I'm using Facebook as a lead generation tool, then should I direct my ads straight to my Facebook page or to a tab that I create on Facebook which has a lead generation form? Second question, if my objective is lead generation, will somebody just come to my Facebook page onto that tab and straight fill it out? Or is my content that interesting that they'll come onto my Facebook page, interact, and then when I lead them back to my lead generation form, will they fill it? So brand awareness is one massive tool that people use Facebook for. Lead generation is something that they actually are trying to do on Facebook today. A lot of the e-commerce websites are doing the second rung of things where they're getting them to the page, trying to communicate with them as to what the new offers are, what the new schemes are, what the new products are, and then make them move from the Facebook page to their website, or hoping in the future that they'll be able to do it on Facebook itself. What is the strategy to achieve these goals? So I need to have a strategy. I need to think of a concrete content peg that I'm going to speak to for about 10 days, 15 days, a month. So I don't know. I start thinking of the fact that, say, if I'm into jewelry, I'm going to speak about only earrings for the first 20 days. I'm going to speak about necklaces for the next 20 days. So that my discussion is focused. I'm being able to give that more detail. I archive that discussion onto a Facebook landing tab, so that a person who is interested in a specific thing is being able to, you're able to speak to them. Maybe you target females between 18 to 24 on your ads in the first 20 days. So your content is more 18 to 24. The next 10 days you're targeting ads towards 24 to 35. So your content is more skewed towards married women and how they use jewelry, about parties, about cocktails. With younger audiences, you talk about college, you talk about work, you talk about pubs, and so your conversation is directed towards a certain target audience. It's bunched together so that when you are targeting those people, they are hearing more of a communication that's relevant to them, and it moves in that fashion, so that you have a strategy that you have planned. Okay, I want right now my product line is more to do with things that older women will. So I only talk to those people. My product line now changes. This is what's going to happen. Do I need to build up to a product that I'm launching? So it's not something that you do once something has happened. It's something that you do because you planned it. So in terms of, I'll give you an example, and I mean the relevance of this example is that we worked on the strategy for Axe, and we created this club for them called the Axe Angels Club, where we knew about 18 to 24 months in advance what products were going to get launched in what slot. What we did is that we created these 6 women. We got them from another country. We shot photographs with them. We actually created profiles with each one of these women. And one female liked sports, the other one liked reading, the third one liked something else, the fourth one liked something else. And each one of these things were related to a launch that Axe was going to do about even 16 months from today. So when it came to sports, one girl spoke. When it came to music, another girl spoke. When it came to the six pegs that we had, each girl had a different voice. And when each one of these brands got launched, so when Axe Rockstar, which was a music-based thing, so this one girl became the face of the page. When the World Cup edition got launched, then the girl behind sports became. So the idea is that we took 18 months to establish each one of these characters. We took 18 months to actually think about each one of these characters, and when they became relevant, they became the face of the page. So rather than thinking about Music Star, the deodorant, when it actually launched, we had thought about Music Star about 18 months from the time it launched. So there was a strategy in place, which is why people understood why that girl was talking. So it's not usually about you do certain things when they become relevant. You plan for certain things thinking that they will be relevant over a period of time. Yeah, sure.
There's a lot of work which goes behind.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And evidently, if I'm running my business,
sure,
I can't do all this work.
Right.
So somebody else has to do it. Can you, give some more ideas about that, in the sense of how much a lot of us are startups, small companies, how we can leverage that? Because if I start doing so much work, I can't do my business.
So the good part is that I'm at least able to make you understand the fact that it's not as easy as it seems. The first impression that everybody gets is that it's the easiest thing to do. Let's open a laptop, let's write 2 lines of copy, and that's done. It's a lot more work, it's a lot more planning. Like you are a startup, this industry is actually a startup. So for you to actually be able to find the right kind of agencies who work in your budget points should not be that different. When we started off, there were about 4 agencies that were in the digital space, or about 5 agencies that are in the digital space. Last check, it was about 467 or 480 odd. So the number of agencies that are available for you to actually be able to do this are massive. Apart from these kind of training sessions, there are also a lot of training sessions happening to make these social media managers, which should be available to a lot of people to hire even in-house, budget permitting, not permitting. So the route is entirely yours. There are a lot of people who claim to be, who are kind of people who work for about a year, 2 years in this industry, or there are agencies who exist in various kind of budget brackets. So I don't think that should be an issue. It's just a call of whether you want to house that in-house or whether you want to take it to an agency. It's as simple as that. Yes? Okay, sorry. Sure. Yeah, go for it.
You said you took 18 months, you started preparations 18 months before the product launch. These 18 months you were working in the background, or you were busy creating fans and
No. So exactly, we were doing this, right? So these 6 people, these 6 angels as we call them, were live, right? Nobody knew what they were live for. They were live as a concept that even the page is called the Axe Angels Club. It's not called Axe or Axe India or anything. It's called the Axe Angels Club. These 6 women lived on this Facebook page for 18 months. They only became relevant when a certain product was launched, which was to do with what or who they were. So the thought was 18 months. The execution was through those 18 months, or actually even about 3 years. And each one of these women became relevant once the product was launched. So it was a strategy in that kind of a space.
Do you think the family, the Facebook family, is the same as the consumer, actual consumer?
I'll run you through a case study where today there's one brand in the L'Oreal, in L'Oreal, which launches products on Facebook about 1.5 to 2 months prior than it even goes on an offline space. And in that particular case, they were able to generate the highest number of sales that they've ever generated in 1 month, only via the medium of.
So there has to be something exclusive, something special.
See, it's stated that about 5 to 6% of the people who actually engage with you on Facebook convert into being your customers, which is a decent sized number. And that happens as a result, like I said, of interaction, of them understanding your brand, and therefore asking for your brand or wanting your brand to take care of their services. Now, the biggest part over here is engagement. If you're not able to engage them at the right place or with the right kind of conversation, then automatically they're not interested because they have other 100 options. So if you're able to engage them, and that's what like advertising has tried to do for donkey's years, right? It's tried to engage the consumer with a jingle or with a celebrity or with anything possible at their disposal. And the presumption has been that if they're engaged, they will buy, or if they remember us, they will go to the store and take our name. So the objective is the same. While that's a 30-40 year old industry, which obviously has like those numbers that 1,000 people see my ad, 4 people buy it, 10 people are repeat users, and those kind of numbers are like at the disposal of marketing managers in terms of a dashboard. So if I increase my ad spend to this much, my sales will go up by this much. That level is still something that we need to come into with social media, but it's a very safe presumption to make that if you're engaging them, that they will go out there and buy. Because at the end of the day,
but then are there, I mean, in the analytics, how do you find out from all the million likes, how many actually the real consumers?
If you're in e-commerce, you have a business resting right there, right? So if you're in e-commerce, you'll be able to figure this number out as well. If I spend this much money, these are the number of people who buy from me, and this is the volume that I generate. And anybody in the e-commerce space here would know that that's a relevant figure. In terms of social networking per se or social media per se, that's still something to be derived. But from brands who have invested in us or in the medium for that long, it's a ROI that they're seeing, which is why they're pumping that kind of money. And I'll run you through a case study. I promise you, I will put that into perspective.
Because I have just started, and I am in e-commerce. I am in the physical market also.
Right.
What I've realized is I'm having different subsets of consumers. Like the 240, 250 people who have liked my page are not necessarily the consumers. The consumers who have bought from me are really not bothered to go to my page and like it.
Right.
And there's a set on the e-commerce which is like.
I don't know. You can test the market, right? You can do a Facebook offer, right? You can run you can have a Facebook tablet. I mean, you can have a tablet in your offline space with a Facebook offer, telling the consumer that if you become a fan of me on Facebook today, you get about a 5% off, and stay here for more offers. You can convert somebody from the offline space even into the online space because he's your target audience. And you are presuming that if you have answered the first question that is my target audience online, then you can take them from the offline space into the online space as well. So there are a lot of things that you can do. Now, 250 is not a big number. Maybe these people are your friends, these people are your family. This is like, I created a Facebook page, please come there, right? So now, are your friends and family actually buying from you? Maybe yes, and even if they are buying from you, they'll pick up the phone and call you and say, hey buddy, this is what I want. So, that's the end of the conversation. Maybe you're not reaching out to the people that are potentially your consumers. So, yeah. Okay, I'll need to take the questions at the end because I'm just getting constant SMSs saying that I'm running out of time. So, what existing content do I have to share? Is there existing information that you have, which you have created over the number of years that you've been working that's relevant to this audience? If yes, then good. If no, then what kind of content do I need to create? Now, Facebook has best practices. It says that photo updates do a lot better than updates that are just textual based because they have more potential to get shared. Do I have somebody who can create these photographs for me, or do I have somebody who can go out there and take them? Or even if I pick up a photograph from the internet, am I providing credit to them? Over a period of time, that's going to be another big legal hassle. So do I have somebody who's going to be creating new content, who's going to be understanding the people who are on my Facebook page and keep them alive and kicking on the Facebook page or on the Twitter feed, however it works. And like you asked the question, who will manage it all? Whether you want to be in-house, whether you want to give it out to an agency, it depends on what your objective is, whether they are on there. So it's a call that you have to take in terms of your budgetary constraints and whether how much money you want to be investing into these mediums. Yeah. So I think page interface will run. I'll run you through Twitter and how it actually works. Again, Twitter has seen some immense growth. Twitter is a more one-to-one medium as compared to a more one-to-many medium, which is Facebook. If I was to draw a triangle, Facebook would be the mass consumer in terms of a lot of people being there, a lot of different varieties of people being there. Twitter is usually like inhabited by two kinds of people who are either professional or people who want to just follow celebrities. So if people just like are voyeuristic in nature and they want to know what each celebrity is doing, then they go there, they follow each celebrity and be happy about it. Or there are a lot of people who have a certain kind of voice, a certain kind of tonality, a certain professionalism in what they do. So they're usually people who are more evolved in that sense. So again, the simple thing is that if Facebook is mass, there's a certain conversation that I need to have with the Facebook audience which is mass. If Twitter is more concentrated, it's more evolved, then I need to have more evolved conversations with them. Again, if you are a premium product, high selling, you want to be on Twitter, and if you're communicating the exact same stuff that you're communicating on Facebook onto Twitter, maybe that's not the language that people on Twitter want to listen to. So there's been massive phenomenal growth on Twitter. It's basically trying to send your message in 140 characters. Take it or leave it. It's 140 characters to tell your story. It's 140 characters to try and engage with other people. It's 140 characters which includes your hashtags, which includes your your Twitter name. It's basically those 140 characters at every given point in time need to define what you do and who you do, and why you're doing what you're doing. So Twitter has a very simple question that that they ask what, when, and when. So basically it asks you what you're doing or why you're doing it. This is where you post. This is the number of followers, number of tweets I've made, number of replies, private messages. There's a Twitter search. There's a trending topic which relates to a hashtag, which is something that these people are going to walk you through. So yeah, Twitter. I don't call Vodafone anymore. So I don't dial 111 anymore at all. I just go onto Twitter and I say I have a problem with you and I get them to call. Not the right thing to do. If I was Vodafone, I'd be pissed. But that's how it is. Today Twitter has been used for reputation management. It's been used for customer services, it's sales, it's relationship management. At one point in time, Dell sold, if I'm not wrong, about $100 million worth of products just via Twitter. Because people who are on Twitter were asking what computer to buy, why should I buy this computer. Dell would search for these key terms, go back to these people, go back to them with a recommendation, have a customer service support, convert a sale right there. Most of these people, like I said, are more evolved audience, so these people have a massive voice, these people have a massive following, and these people are the kind of people who are like, the content creators, the thought leaders. So if they say something, people will listen. So if he says or she says that, listen, this restaurant is the worst place I've ever eaten at, that spelled doom for a lot of people as well. And I mean, we're very active in the Twitter space, so we know what that leads to. Whether it's for a brand, it's for a restaurant. So you have to manage your reputation over there. You have to get your customer service right there. These are the people who are more likely to buy as well. But your communication objective for both the mediums have to be extremely different, because even though they might be 18 to 24 demographic or 18 to 34 demographic, the evolution of the user or the evolution of the person is a lot different from what it is on Facebook. Yeah, so what do you do on Twitter? So are you talking something that's fun? Are you running hashtags? Are you giving them a special discount? Is Twitter your online reputation piece? Is Twitter your customer service piece? What are you doing with that? That's something that you need to actually be able to filter at the beginning before you go live with Twitter. Yeah, you need to find people who are talking about you or things that are relevant to you. So you need to find people who are talking about jewelry. You need to find people who are talking about anything that's relevant to your industry. You need to see how you can engage to them on a one-on-one basis. You need to see if they'll engage back with you. There are people who have thousands and thousands of followers who have a massive voice that can get generated. This is, and how do we respond, right? So what is the tone of voice? Again, it stems from your objective in terms of what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So is your voice helpful? Is your voice that I'm here to help you? Or is your voice saying that this is what I do? Is your voice saying that, hey, sorry, this is what happened? So, and it needs to get, adjusted to the person you're communicating to as well. So if I'm talking to one person, I need to be in their context and talk to them on a one-on-one basis. If I'm addressing 60 people right now, I'm addressing all of you together, which is what Facebook would be. But if we broke for tea and each one of you asked me a question, I would be addressing you on a contextual basis. So that's what Twitter is. I need to address you at a contextual base. I need to come down to your level and to be able to speak to you properly and make sure that, you know, you come back to me or you tweet back to me and I stay top of mind. These are branded backgrounds, again something that Suvir will take you through. What I want to take you through is YouTube very quickly. Again, some facts and figures. There are about 3.3 monthly total videos, 3.3 billion monthly total video streams on YouTube, 77.2 monthly streams per viewer, and 450 monthly minutes spent viewing per viewer. YouTube today is like your one-stop shop. It's also one of the biggest search engines because people come to YouTube today and say, how do I fix my car? How do I fix my laptop? How do I do this? How do I do that? While Google is obviously a search tool, YouTube has become like this video tutorial for anything from making pasta to creating a new car. You can do everything over here. The year-on-year growth has been about 75% in the consumption of online videos. Users spend about 19 billion minutes watching videos online every month. What this means is that 7 out of 10 videos online are usually YouTube. So is this providing you a bigger platform? Yes, it is. And if you're thinking of content that can go viral, if you create a video that's relevant to like hundreds and thousands of people, it will go viral. Because people don't feel scared in sharing, right? I'll run you through YouTube in India. Total unique visitors per month, 31 million. Total video views, 2.1 billion. Average daily visitors is 4.7 million. Average minutes is 13.8 minutes per visit. Reach is 54%, and the target audience is SEC AB. So male again, male, female, skewed. It's simple. 15 to about 34 is your biggest target audience. So YouTube is more sticky than Facebook, or that's what YouTube claims. But and that's something that brands will realize over a period of time. It's now moved to about photo content and about how you can leverage that. And over a period of time, videos are going to become more relevant once internet streaming speeds are going to get higher, mobile accessibility is going to get higher. So a lot more people will have a lot more access to videos than even today. This is interesting actually. YouTube versus television. The growth of YouTube has been about 60% year on year. The growth on TV is very, very slow as compared to YouTube. This should be actually astonishing because if Star Plus has the maximum reach, YouTube has about 90% of Star Plus's reach. But what YouTube can do, what Star Plus cannot do, is simply tell you that if you come back to YouTube and say, hey, I want to target only males between the age group of 18 to 24, it can do that. Star Plus cannot. If you go back to YouTube and say, I only want to target females, YouTube can do that. Star Plus cannot. So even while the numbers are almost the same, and it's about the 6th or 7th biggest TV channel, if I was to say, the differentiator is that I'm spending money only on the people whom I want to talk to as compared to the entire world population. bigger than any English genre TV channel out there is YouTube at this particular point in time. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that over a period of time, and hopefully for all of us who are in the digital space, a lot of these social networking websites, a lot of the digital space is going to heavily compete with the offline space. We're not saying that either one of them is better, bigger, or any of that, but both will need to live together in conjunction. So you cannot say that my online strategy is X and my offline strategy is Y. They both need to come together and create something big. What I'm going to do at this point in time is I'm going to cut into a case study so that I can put each one of these things into perspective, so that you see how we've used a Twitter versus how we used a Facebook, and how we've used, and this might be the most fun for y'all part, for y'all is minimum amount of money, or actually as close to almost nothing, to actually be able to sell 75,000 units of one of the creams in India. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a brief background on this. So Maybelline launched recently this new cream called the BB cream, which is a bright benefit cream. It's supposed to do what every cream claims to do in India, which is it's got 8-in-1 benefits, and it's supposed to substitute some of the products that every woman uses every morning before getting out of the house, which astonishingly to me was a lot. So we went back to the value proposition of the brand and said that, hey, this is what every cream out there in the market is trying to say. And obviously Maybelline came to us and saying that for the first month we're not going to do anything offline. We're not going to we're not going to spend money on TV. We're not spending money on print, radio, nothing. Let's see what this does, because they've been working with us for a long time. So it makes sense for them to actually test these waters that you're talking about. So we went back to the value proposition of the brand, and we figured that what this cream is actually potentially hoping to do is reduce the time that women take to get ready. And what is the biggest problem that each and every man in this world faces is waiting for his woman to get ready. So you can count of hundreds of times when you've been like sitting in your drawing room watching TV, falling asleep, drooling, waiting in the car, walking outside theaters, and that's a massive pain point, right, in everything that you do. So instead of marketing the product to women, we thought of taking this product to men, and we created a movement for them called the WTF movement. Now WTF in internet crass terminology, without being obscene here, is what the fuck. But WTF in this case was women take forever, and we created this movement for them. We went to local comedians on Twitter, who operate in the Comedy Store or Comedy Central, and we told them, hey, why don't you start a movement for us called the WTF movement and take it to all the men out there, and just try and basically get them to vent their frustration. So he says, yeah, why not? And content is not dirt, right? For something like this, it's the simplest thing to do. I mean, you live that experience on a day-to-day basis. In about 14 days' time, we had about 40,000 people who were on that Facebook page, 40,000 men who were on that Facebook page, who had just stories and stories and stories and stories to say. So we said, great. And we took that same communication back onto the Maybelline page and said, hey, this is what men have to say. Men versus women, simple, plain, nothing to major, the basics. Women say we do it for the men, we have to look beautiful, otherwise they'll never see us, and stuff like that. So he said, great. He said, Maybelline has a solution for WTF, and the solution is to go nude. If you're naked, you don't need time to get ready. So, and nude was also one of the tones that the cream had a proposition for. We went out there via this communication of nude, introduced the product, got women to talk about the product, leveraged WTF, got the men versus women to keep fighting. The previous biggest selling product for Maybelline was this colossal kajal, which sold about 75,000 units for them. This product sold 75,000 units in the first month without any advertising offline push. And the take back that Maybelline gave us was the fact that consumers came to the counter and said, "Mujhe nude wala cream dena." So actually our consumers going back from this online space and buying, in this case, 100%. So now I'm going to run the video. So if you have, go for it.
I mean,
30% of 55 million is also a massive number.
Yeah, but then why don't they go and ask individual agreement and what they related ones, unrelated ones?
No, but nude was the proposition that I sold to them.
So the brand name was not very...
Right, so then they go to we did. We said that the nude cream is the new BB cream. But they still, because we had communicated with them over a prolonged period of time, they had interacted with the concept that, nude